You're applying to be an expendable?
Yeah.
You read through the whole application.
Ain't that a kick in the head?
I should have read through it.
Once you die, we'll print a new version of your body.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jacqueline Coley, and I'd like to welcome you all to the big ticket interview for Mickey 17. Hello, everyone, and welcome.
Hello. 안녕하세요.
All right, Director Bong, I'm going to start with you because I feel like maybe you've been dreaming about this adaptation of Mickey 7 for a while. So take us into the world of Mickey 17 and maybe some of your sci-fi influences that you brought to the screen.
뭐 스타워즈나 스타트rek이나 2001 스페이스 오디세이 이런 뭐 엄청난 걸작들이 있지만 뭐 영향 받았고 좋아했지만 또 저는 존 카펜터의 약간 독특한 사이파이 영화들도 좋아했었어요. The Thing 같은 것들.
So of course we have, sci-fi epics like Star Wars, Star Trek, and 2001: Space Odyssey. But I was really influenced by the unique sci-fi films of John Carpenter, like The Thing.
인간의 어떤 극한의 모습을 보여주니까 우리는 이제 미키가 그런 상황이죠. 익스트림 잡을 갖고 있는 미키가 그런 모습 보여주니까.
His films really shows the extremities that men go through, and in our film, that's Mickey's circumstances, where he has this very extreme job.
Very extreme job. Yeah, let's talk about the job. Naomi and Robert, sir, first of all, y'all are incredible in the film. I can't wait for folks to see it. And we get weird, it's great. But talk about working with director Bong, because both of you have worked with incredible directors already in your career, but I do feel his style and sensibilities is just wholly unique. And Robert, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why I wanted to work with him. I love the performances he gets. And there was a movie I watched, Memories of Murder, like a long time ago, and it just always stayed in the back of my mind. Like there's something about the performances in that when they could take this very discordant turns from being almost like slapstick humor, and then suddenly it's very serious and dramatic, and you never quite know which way it's going to turn. And also his kind of physical comedy and how shots are set up. I just thought it was something that I hadn't done, I really wanted to do.
And considering all the crazy stuff you've done, that's saying something. And Naomi, same thing for you. I mean, you've been in a Star Wars movie already. You've done so much. What was it like on this set? Because this is a different kind of space, for sure.
Yeah, it's different kind. I mean, I'm in love with like sci-fi stuff anyway. Grew up on Star Trek, and I think director Bong, hi. I think it's incredible how he layers a film in so many different genres, and I really agree. Like there is a kind of freedom within the way you tell stories that allows a real expansion of character that doesn't belong to any one thing, and so the characters feel really human. That's one of the things I have really loved, but there are many.
I can't wait for folks to watch it, especially your reprints, the Mickeys. They seem such distinctive characters. We've already kind of seen it a little bit from the trailer, but I'd love for you to preview for folks, what is it like sort of bringing the various Mickeys to life and how you make them so distinctive? I heard there's a lot of influences, maybe some Ren and Stimpy.
He's a deceptively unusual character. When I first read the script, I was just like, oh, this is just really funny and kind of madcap, but trying to figure out a way to ground it. I was really like, I was kind of baffled. The more you dig into the story, it's incredibly sad, but then it's just not told in a sad way at all. And so you're trying to find, how do you kind of capture that tone in the performance? And I was kind of just started to think about the things like Tom and Jerry and stuff, like where you kind of have this brutality, but it's presented as humor all the time. And how can you kind of fit yourself as a human into that kind of world? And I was thinking about that. I mean, I always loved Ren and Stimpy, and I just like the idea of kind of using that. But then I was thinking about Jackass and like things where, you kind of, there's a cavalier attitude towards pain and kind of, and the kind of willingness to like dive in head first to things.
And I just have to add a little bit too. There's two Mickeys that we spend most of our time with. What are the two sort of like distinctive things about them? Like give me a little brief on 17 and 18 and why they're so different.
I mean, 17 is like, he's at first glance someone who is such an extreme rule follower. Like, I mean, he's very submissive. And but also is like he just has to an outside observer like a total lack of self-esteem. But in his mind, he's like, this job, which is basically to be a crash test dummy, is the best thing that's ever happened to him. So he doesn't want to lose it under any circumstances. And then 18 is a kind of, he's like a misprint, and so he's kind of got a bit of his brain missing, I think, and it kind of affects his executive function, and he has absolutely no time for. Especially Mickey 17's cautiousness, and it irritates him beyond measure.
Yeah, their fights are great. And then you have to act alongside that sort of dual performances. I feel like the dual performance is harder for your scene partner than it is maybe for you. So, Naomi, do you feel what it's harder? Look at he's like, I'm very well aware. What was that like for you? Like the physical aspect of it. I mean,
Of playing Nasha.
like playing across two very distinct Mickeys, keeping it straight.
I mean, actually, if anything, it felt very easy because they are so distinctive. So each character has a different energy, and it was quite easy for me to like flip between the two. Basically, because Rom's a really good actor. Take it.
There's an unusual thing about Nasha. Nasha, I don't think you can really tell the difference between them.
She doesn't care. She's like, 2, awesome. Let's go. I just think there is like I guess we had spent enough time as like a cast and crew and filmmaker of like creating the world, and so there was an expectation of what was to come, and so there was kind of if anything, there was like a joy around it. It was fun to watch Rob.
Yeah, there's a little joy in the fact that, I mean, this little bitty preview. Let's just say, if you ever thought what it would be like to have a moment alone with Robert Pattinson, you could double the fun. I just have to put that out there. Like, there's a reprint aspect of it that I think a lot of folks watching this might find as wish fulfillment. And so, we'll leave it at that. I'll bring it back to you, sir. First of all, setting up all these crazy scenarios, one of the things that you bring to this is the creepers, these animals. I feel like that is where I really felt the John Carpenter, the thing that you're talking about. So let folks know about the creepers, because they are about to wiggle their way into everyone, I think, that watches this movie.
처음에는 그냥 크리퍼 보고 토니 콜레트 대사 중에도 있는데 약간 무슨 똥물에 빠진 크로아상 같다라고 하는 대사도 있고 되게 처음에 무시하고 경멸당하죠. 크리퍼가 마치 미키처럼.
When we first see the creepers, we see people treat them with such contempt and disregard. Toni Collette even has the line describing them as croissants dipped in shit. And just like Mickey, everyone, treats them.
그렇지만 뒤로 가면 뒤로 갈수록 달라지죠. 크리퍼가 점점 더 중요해지고 되게 그 자체로 어떤 위험이 있는 존재죠.
But as the story progresses, they become a very important presence in the film, and we see their dignity as just living beings.
그런 인사이트를 주는 게 또 나샤고, 나샤가 미키로 하여금 그걸 깨닫게 만들어주고.
And that really comes from Nasha's insight, and she's the one who tells Mickey about what they're really like.
그래서 제가 영화에서 크리처를 이제 만들어 본 적이 몇 번 있는데 이번이 3번째인데 이번에 가장 중요하고 공을 많이 들인 크리처인 것 같아요. 그래서 VFX 담당자들이랑 참 얘기 많이 했던 것 같아요.
So the creepers are my third creatures. I've done creatures in previous films, but I feel like I put in the most work in creating the creepers compared to the other ones. Had so many conversations with my VFX team.
크리퍼 말도 하잖아. 대사가 있어.
Because they even talk. They have dialogue. I mean,
You can say it. I want you to say as much as possible because they can't.
Spoiling.
Yes, please do. Please do. I mean, it's not a spoiler to say, besides these two folks on the couch with us here, you've assembled an incredible cast. You mentioned Toni Collette, but we also have Mark Ruffalo and Steven Yeun. I'd love for you to talk about, because I think, again, even with them, you're having them do stuff they've never done before. So talk about assembling this all-star cast.
그 감독 입장에서는 좋은 배우들 일하는 것만큼 행운이나 이제 복이 없는 건데.
I mean, it's such a great fortune and joy as a filmmaker to work with amazing actors.
그리고 배우들이 매일같이 주는 선물이 있어요. 그걸 받는 또 재미가 있고 제가 생각한 것 이상의 것들을 다 생각하기 때문에 배우들이. 네.
And it feels like actors are just giving you gifts every day, and I just have to take these gifts because they really go beyond what you had imagined. for
처음
them.
스크립트를 줄 때는 이제 내가 막 설명하죠. 이런 캐릭터야, 이런 스토리라인이야. 그렇지만 이제 그게 그 시간이 지나고 나면 시간이 갈수록 배우가 더 많이 알고 있어요. 캐릭터에 대해서 몸으로 사니까 이제 그때부터 이제 오히려 내가 들으려고 하는 거죠. 뭐 나한테 해줄 얘기가 없을까? 아이디어들이 점점점 많아지거든요. 배우들 쪽에서.
So when I first hand in the script, I'm the one explaining, oh, this is a story, this is your character. But as time goes on, they actors know even more because they live the characters with their own bodies. So it's like I'm waiting for them to tell me what their characters are.
그 역전되는 그 모멘트가 있어요. 그때가 항상 흥미로워요. 촬영 시작하고 나서 한 1, 2주 지나면은.
There's always a moment, the moment where the table turns, kind of like a week or two into production. You sense that they know more than you do.
그래서 이 미키나 뭐
Not on your life.
정말 저는 이번에 행운이었고 그리고 뭐 마크 러팔로도 본인이 악당 역할한 거 처음이라고 하는데 뭐 모두들 신선하고 재밌는 조합이었던 것 같아요. 부부로 그 둘이 토니 컬레트가 부부로 나온 것도 그렇고 이 둘이 또 커플로 러브 스토리 속에서 나온 것도 그렇고.
Yeah, I mean, I truly feel that way. I mean, even with Mark as well, it's his first time playing a villain, and I just felt the combination and the ensemble was just so refreshing. You know, seeing Mark and Tony be a married couple and have these two be a couple as well.
티모 스티븐 연 very strange character.
Yeah.
사이파이 영화에 절대 나오지 않는
I've
그런
never seen a
캐릭터.
character like that. in a sci-fi.
Yeah.
Well, I'm curious. I'm sure it wasn't the only person on set that director Bong had worked before, but if I were either one of you, I'd be asking Steven everything. Did y'all kind of like pull him aside and be like, okay, what was it like? Like give me the preview, or did you ask any of his other collaborators?
I think I did maybe talk to Stephen a little bit at the beginning. I know I talked to Paul Dano before. Just I think that was before I met either to say like how what do I expect? And Paul was like, it's like I'm not going to tell you anything. You have a
Really?
nice surprise.
Dano, man,
Like that.
secretive. What about you, Bam? Did you pull Steven aside?
I remember. I remember.
No, he was very positive. Paul.
It's a surprise. I remember we had quite early on, I think it was maybe like 2 weeks before, we had like a little script meet up. Do you remember?
Oh yes.
Yeah, where we were like reading the script, but we were also like getting to know each other, and in that time I remember talking to Stephen about his experience.
Director Bong, I love your entire filmography. I also not just Parasite, everything that you've done. I'm really obsessed with it. But for folks that maybe are not as familiar with your entire filmography, and maybe they've only seen like Parasite, what other films should they watch or get D'd up on from your filmography before they see this one?
미키 17 보기 전에 괴물이란 영화가 있어요. 세 번째 영화인데
There's a film called The Host. It's my third film.
거기도 크리처가 나오지만 거기도 미키처럼 되게 좀 힘없고 불쌍한 애들이 나와요. 가족이 나와요. 근데 그 엉겁결의 히어로가 되는.
So that film also has a creature, but it also features a family who is kind of like Mickey, without authority, without power, and they accidentally become the heroes of the story.
몬스터 영화인데 영화 시작한 지 한 12분 만에 괴물이 밝은 태양 아래 나와버려요.
It's a monster film, but you see the monster 12 minutes into the film under broad daylight.
Oh wow.
I hope you enjoy.
Yeah.
Besides the monsters, one thing that you're really great in crafting is relationships, and I will just say the chemistry between these two, it jumps off the screen. I can't wait for folks to see it because you are two characters, well, three, that fall in love in a hopeless place. How did y'all kind of? I know. I had to. I know. Riri, please. How did y'all sort of develop that on set? Because you have all this absurdity happening around you, but at the heart of it, it's a really touching story of two people. So yeah, Naomi.
How? We just chatted. I think we were just acting. I don't know.
I think I remember the scene because I didn't really think, because it's also because of the way the timing works in the story. Like it's kind of like you see these little vignettes of just different moments, but it's not necessarily in chronological order.
linear.
And I remember doing the little scene in the cat when we first see each other.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is kind of cute, actually. It's
Yeah.
kind of, because we'd already done all this
We had
crazy
done all this
stuff
mad
before,
stuff,
and,
yeah.
like, and
Yeah.
yeah, it was just kind of, yeah, it's like little kids.
They literally
그
are.
먹으라고 하는 거
Literally
있잖아.
kids.
처음 만났을 때 이거
When you're
먹어.
like giving him the food, the bread and
되게 좋아가지고 먹어. 그래.
takes a bite.
Yeah, I totally agree with that though. They are like little kids. There's a lot of playful. There's a playful nature about their relationship, where they bring the playfulness out of each other. So
They do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I just had a headcanon that y'all were doing this through Zoe Kravitz, who I know has already seen the film, who directed you in Blink twice. but
Has
stars
Zoe
with
seen
you
it?
in Batman, right? Well, she was at a screening, right? Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So I just like to put the Zoe Kravitz in
Yeah.
for it, whether she was there or not. Director Bong, before we get out of here, one of the things that I'd read about this that I found to be so interesting is that you sometimes film the last line of the scene first.
Really?
I mean, that's what it said. Wait, can you explain, or is the internet lying to me? I would be okay if the internet is lying.
Sometimes it happened, not many times, but in case of when I was making Snowpiercer, the kick off, the first day of shooting, we shot the last scene of the movie.
No way.
그 무슨 그럴 수밖에 없는 상황이 있어서
It was
어쩔
a
수
bit
없어.
inevitable logistics.
yeah.
그래서 배우들한테 되게 미안하면서 막 설명하고
Felt so bad to the actors and explained everything.
그
Sorry.
아역 배우들이었었던
And it was also children actors.
Yeah, it is.
설명하면서
Yeah.
근데 뭐 나중에 보면 뭐 이렇게도 찍을 수 있구나.
I mean, it turned out okay. I was like, I guess you could do this.
High risk.
Have you read the script?
Yeah.
그러고 싶진 않지. 근데 뭐 닥치면 그렇게 해야 될 수가 있어.
You don't want to do it, but if it happens, it happens.
Shoot the whole movie. The whole movie, you're like, I know the endings.
That's what I would terrified of.
What are you hoping folks take from Mickey 17? And I'll leave it with maybe the actors who are going to bring these incredible characters to them. Robert, I'll start with you. Or
I think it's such an unusual movie, and if this was a tiny movie, it would be unusual. And then when you amplify it to this massive scale, it just becomes more exponentially more unusual. When I first read the script, I was just like, this is like strikingly original, and it's just Bong has a sort of genre to himself. I think people will be really excited to see what he does with this kind of massive sandbox.
That was so good.
it really was.
That I
only,
just agreed.
only thing I will add is it's very sexy. That's all I will add.
This is maybe saying more about you.
You made the movie. You made the movie. I will be proven right. Folks can find out if I'm right about that by purchasing tickets at Fandango now.